Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, and our old buddy, CNN's Don Lemon, well, he's literally crashing and burning right before our very eyes.
That's a big issue when it comes to the American, hold on please with the music. That's a big issue when it comes to the American people. The American people are gonna have to suffer through all of this stuff, from election deniers to people who don't believe in facts, we don't have a shared reality, and now it's taken center stage to people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, an election denier, a conspiracy theorist, a QAnon sort of influencer or supporter presiding over the House of Representatives. It's a sad day for America when that happens, and it's a sad time for us when we have to deal with that.
Don Lemon suffered a major meltdown live on air after an interview conducted by his co-host, Caitlin Collins, who, let's just say, he obviously does not get along with.
Okay, so you say you will ask for the visitor names for Biden and for Pence, but not for former President Trump.
Well, they're already looking into that. You have an aggressive special counsel looking into everything with Trump related to his mishandling of classified documents. So that box is already checked.
Same to Biden as well, though. That's the discrepancy.
Well, we don't know. We don't know exactly what all's going on with Biden. Our investigation with Biden is over influence peddling. There's a concern among a lot of Republicans that some of these classified documents may have been part of the business model with the president's brother and the president's son in some of their shady business dealings.
Right.
That's why we're
There
concerned about Biden.
No evidence of that so far. I understand you have questions
Well, we have
about
evidence that they've influence peddled, that they've always used the Biden.
But not in relation to the classified
We don't
documents.
have any evidence of the classified documents, but we're investigating that.
Okay, Congressman Comer, we're out of time. Unfortunately, we have a lot more questions for you. I know you have a bunch of hearings this week. Thank you for taking time to join us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you. That's gonna be it. That's the time that we're in, where facts are sort of flexible. And
That's why we got Caitlin Collins on the Hill,
out there,
fact-checking in real time. It was a great interview.
Citing incredible sources, like citing the New York Post as a credible source and saying that facts are, it's just, I can't believe that we're here.
Caitlin, that was a great interview. All right, moving on.
Anyway, well, now moving on, because that's a big issue when it comes to the American, hold on please with the music. That's a big issue when it comes to the American people. The American people are gonna have to suffer through all of this stuff, from election deniers to people who don't believe in facts, we don't have a shared reality, and now it's taken center stage to people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, an election denier, a conspiracy theorist, a QAnon sort of influencer or supporter presiding over the House of Representatives. It's a sad day for America when that happens, and it's a sad time for us when we have to deal with that.
All right, so what you just saw there wasn't just rude. It was factually wrong. It was itself not in touch with reality. That's the irony in all this. Let's start with the rudeness. Here's what Megyn Kelly had to say about it.
Okay, so here's the context you need to understand what just happened there. Caitlin Collins is interviewing James Comer, head of oversight now, who's doing all the investigations. And in that interview, he mentioned something about the New York Post, cited something, referred to the New York Post. And then they wrapped. And when they tossed back to the studio, Don Lemon was chastising her in that clip for not challenging him on referencing the New York Post. Like, how could you? No, this is a big deal. The nation relies on, whatever, reporting, good reporting. And then starts talking about other people who we shouldn't be giving platforms to and so on. So he's clearly got an issue with how she did the interview and chose to raise it on the air. And then so much so that he staved off the commercial break so he could finish making his point about how she should have handled that. Let me tell you, as somebody who has co-anchored with a lot of great co-anchors, no guy has ever done that to me. No guy has even ever come close to doing that to me. And that's not to say that I've never had a disagreement with a co-host on how an interview went or how the rhythm went on the air. That is totally disrespectful and out of line.
All right, so just to be clear, there are actually 3 hosts for CNN's morning show. The show that Lemon got demoted to, by the way. Remember, he made a huge deal out of trying to convince everyone that he was not being demoted. All right, so there are 3 hosts. The one in the studio there with Lemon is Poppy Harlow, and the other one, who was at the other studio doing the interview, is Caitlin Collins. Now, that's the one that Don Lemon apparently has been having some serious anger issues with. Word on the street is that Lemon screamed at her behind the scenes and had such a temper tantrum over his accusing her of constantly interrupting him on their shows. It was so bad, she was so distressed, she reportedly had to run out of the studio. And the film crew that witnessed it, they were just left there reportedly shocked. Well, it looks like we just saw that tension in real time. The other co-host, Poppy Harlow, the one in the studio with Don Lemon, I think she could tell that Lemon was basically dissing Caitlin Collins' interview. I mean, dissing it from the vantage point of, why are you even giving this guy a platform? Not only did your interview suck, but you shouldn't even be talking to this crazy Republican in the first place. And you could tell the other co-host, Poppy, that she was like, all right, let's just move on from here. Let's just forget about it. And freaking Lemon wouldn't do it. This guy is so utterly full of himself, he couldn't just let it go. And so he launched into this absurd rant. And it was absurd in more ways than one. The irony of that meltdown was so thick you could cut it with a knife. He overtly dismissed the New York Post as a credible news source. Now, this is a guy whose own network, CNN, peddled the notion that the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian disinformation immediately after the New York Post broke the story. I mean, it's beyond comprehension how such an utterly moronic statement could be uttered by someone trying to pass himself off as a credible journalist. Even journalists were pointing that out. The Hill columnist Joe Concha tweeted out, at last check, the New York Post was not only first with the Hunter Biden laptop story, but got it right. All while CNN's intelligence analysts called it Russian disinformation. The network has since validated the laptop and its contents, and yet here's Don Lemon. And then what Concha does is he shows the clip we just watched. So he's insinuating that Lemon has the gall to criticize a news outlet that actually broke one of the major news stories of our time, all the while CNN dismissed it. And the fact that Lemon demonstrably can't see that is itself an indicator of how blind he is. You see, what's the point of CNN repeating the refrain? Well, there's no evidence. There is no, I find no evidence. When all the while they refuse to look for the evidence. I mean, I get it if you're looking, right? If you've been doing your due diligence as an investigative reporter and in the process you say, hey guys, look, we don't see anything to corroborate what you're saying here, then fine. But what makes so-called news outlets like CNN so utterly odious and frankly downright dishonest is they consistently push back against Republicans' concerns with there's no evidence, we see no evidence, all the while refusing to look. And the one news outlet that did look, that actually investigated and corroborated, was the New York Post, the very news outlet that Lemon claimed was incredible. I mean, this is an overt demonstration of just how blind he is. But that blindness is itself an indicator of something even bigger that's going on here. And this is what I think the downfall of Don Lemon really represents. But first, gang, make sure you click on that link below and treat yourself and a loved one to a warm, soft, comfortable MyPillow product. And gang, Mike has just rolled out his MyPillow 2.0, his newest version of the iconic MyPillow. It's now got fabric temperature regulating technology that keeps you comfortable all throughout the night. It's absolutely amazing. And you get the same amazing savings as always if you use promo code Turley. A classic MyPillow is normally $69.98, but if you use promo code Turley, you'll get that same classic MyPillow for just $19.98. And that applies to over 200 products in their catalog. So don't wait. Click on that link below. Get the gift of comfort and warmth to yourself, to your loved ones. Support one of America's most amazing patriots, Mike Lindell, and get the best savings ever using promo code Turley. Click on that link below right now. One of the best studies that's come out of late on the implosion of the legacy media's credibility comes from a study done by Columbia University that detailed the massive failures of journalistic objectivity protocols and standards surrounding the Russian collusion hoax that embroiled the Trump presidency deliberately for upwards of 3 years. The blatant bias and partisan partiality that governed the reporting has done more to crush whatever was left of trust in the legacy media than anything else. In addition to that self-inflicted wound, scholars widely recognize that we're now living in the midst of what's called the information age, We often refer to it as a network society here on this channel. And this is the rising up of a new social order where the legacy media is no longer the gatekeeper of knowledge. Through the rise of the internet, information has been radically democratized. It's been decentralized away from monopolistic institutions of control like the legacy media. And now it's available to everyone through digital networks, primarily the internet, of course. Now, today, everyone with a cell phone is, in effect, a cameraman. Everyone with a social media platform is a pundit. And so going back to this absurd refrain, there's no evidence, they're not in touch with reality, blah, blah, blah. What Don Lemon fails to see is that the legacy media's fact-checking with these two dynamics is no longer considered factual anymore. The fact that we're living in the midst of an information age means that we get to fact-check the media. And when we do, we find out that CNN is telling their viewers that Vladimir Putin stole the 2016 election, that the Covington Catholic school students were racist bigots, that Kyle Rittenhouse was nothing more than a white supremacist, that Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation, that J6 was an insurrection, and Liz Cheney was the bravest person on the planet. I mean, is it any wonder that their ratings have plummeted 90% over the last year? When a population can fact-check the legacy media, you would think that would force some humility and some honesty on their part. Unfortunately, when it comes to Don Lemon, we have neither. As always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. You'll definitely want to check out my latest video on KARI Lake making a huge announcement. You're not going to want to miss it, so make sure to click on that link, and I will see you over there. God bless.